Hello everybody, wherever you might be, right around Australia on the eve of NBL23. This is NBL Overtime. It's very simple. You get involved. Hashtag NBL23. Hashtag NBL Overtime via all our socials. I'm excited. Chea's back in the league. We'll get to that shortly. A major injury at Melbourne United and a major out today. We've got Liam Santa Maria in the house. Hello to you, my man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go.
Good. And Pete Hawley, the man who absolutely has pissed off every player possible with that top 20 list. But thank you for it. They're all annoyed at you. You are in because our man, Homicide, I think, is he on a yacht in Sydney? He's joining us anyway. Hello, big fella. What are you doing, my man? Hello to you.
Man, what's going on? I'm on Foot Locker duties this week. A lot going on here in Sydney, but I'm glad I'm still here with you via satellite.
Well,
Zoom.
I'll tell you what, I'm glad you're here too, because this time last year when Adelaide won the pre-season, you said, hey, you know what, I'm all in on the 36ers, and they've done it again. Back-to-back pre-season champions, although I feel there's a bit more optimism going to come from Liam and I this time. Let's have a look, because they were great. They've went out, they've spent cash, and they put it all on the floor as well. I'm going to start with you, Homicide. You like where this team's going?
Man, I love where this team is going on the defensive end. They're long, they're athletic, they can switch, they can guard multi-positions. The depth on the offensive end as well. The biggest thing about this season, as opposed to last season, is Daniel Johnson has been the focal point offensively for this team. And right now, he doesn't have to be that. And I think he might be in a position where he's going to play his best basketball because he has weapons at every position. So each possession down, you don't have to rely heavily on him offensively carrying the load. And I think that's a great thing for him. But this team is loaded at every position.
100% stacked, loaded. And for me, the big difference from last season, yeah, it's good that Daniel Johnson's going to play the role that he's going to play now. You know, he's been all NBL first team a number of times. He's not going to be anywhere near that this season with this squad. But it's going to be great for where he is at with his career. But for me, the biggest difference was last season, despite winning a few games in the preseason, there were still question marks about some spots on the roster. Dusty Hanners, Todd Withers, what were those guys going to be? And Mahave, how are they going to contribute to the team in their minutes? There's very little question marks with this team as far as talent is concerned. Antonius Cleveland, Robert Franks, Craig Randall, Mitch McKay, they're just loaded. Still got Anthony Drimmick to come back into this group and add some talent as well. So CJ Bruton has a tremendous group to work with. So far, so good. They're moving in the right direction.
I'm glad you mentioned Drimmick because I think everybody's forgot that Drimmick's coming off a really good campaign in the NBL1 North, and he was playing some really good basketball. When he comes in, that's a key piece to bring off the bench. Sunday Detch, and I've read a couple of things of that starting five unit. Does it get shaken up a little bit, like Kai Sotto maybe starting eventually, and let Daniel Johnson be just an offensive focal point coming off the bench? That's an interesting thing for CJ Bruton to perhaps throw up. We've seen a lot of things with talented teams in the past that they don't bring it all together consistently enough. I think that it's all there, all the right pieces there. I love the way Mitch McCarron's attacked the preseason. Night and day compared to last year. There's still some question marks, but I think it looks all positive signs.
There's two things here. We've discussed this as well. One, this is CJ's team, right? He came in a little bit later. I'm not necessarily saying that there wasn't some talent last year, but this is CJ's team. He's had another 12 months to be like, this is how I want to play my basketball. There's no doubt that the owners have said, you know what, we're kind of sick of being disappointing and not rewarding our fans by playing playoffs. But what I touch on there, I love the fact they come out and said, okay, cool, we're talented. Everyone's talked about us. Bang. Let's get to Darwin and make a statement early. Let's just go through a couple of the motions. And I think you did this with the championship team that you played in, where you went from the preseason, you played really well. We're going to get to the NBA, NBL games very shortly and what that all means. But the fact is they went to Darwin and said, all right, there's a little bit more pressure on us this year, but let's not just coast in and go through the motions because we're talented. Let's make a statement from the start. And that's what I felt about Adelaide. Hence why I'm a lot more confident about this team being really good than I was 12 months ago.
You know what impressed me the most about the Blitz? 3 games, 3 different leading scorers. That's how it's going to have to be the entire season. If they have someone average over 18-ish a game, I don't think they win, because they've got too much talent all around. We forget how good Robert Franks is. We saw it that last game in the Blitz, but Robert Franks to me has to be essentially one of their main, if not their main offensive weapon. Craig Randall is a renowned scorer. We've seen him shoot the ball a lot. But if they keep sharing the load and really following whichever hot guy it is, it's going to be hard to beat.
That's at the offensive end. For me, the big thing is going to be at the defensive end because the talent will take care of the offense. As long as they share the ball, play unselfishly, we've seen when talented teams don't live up to the hype, it's because they didn't all buy in at the defensive end. So that's the thing is going to be the thing for me with Adelaide. And he's got them up the floor. He's got them aggressive. They've got Sunday Detch and Antonius Cleveland. They've got talented defenders. If everyone right across the roster buys in at that end of the floor, they're going to be so hard to beat.
I'm not a stats guy. You two are. They'll lead the league in fast break points. There you go. Done. They'll also lead the league in quotes. Because I think they are a very, very quotable team. And Antonius Cleveland is leading the way. This is what he had to say. Of course, NBA v NBL. We're going over there to win. I know I am. I know the team is, and that's going to be our goal. We're going to out there to treat the Suns and the Thunder like they're Tasmania and Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. You've been in this situation before. We're going to touch on close losses shortly. But do you like that?
Love the quote except for the end. We're comparing the Phoenix and OKC, the NBA teams, especially the Suns, with Tassie and the Phoenix. I think the Suns have been a powerhouse now for a couple of years. Maybe we change that one to, we know Tassie's been there once and they've made the finals. Maybe we change that to a Perth, Sydney or United. That's the one comparison I'm like, come on, man. I love Antonius Cleveland. Yeah. He's the most outspoken one, and whatever he says, he backs it up so far. He loves that pressure. That part was a little funny to me, but so they should. You don't go over there to make up the numbers. There's a chance they could do it this year. It's crazy to say.
Let's get a quote from Liam Junk at Santa Maria, because you've been in a lot of these. In fact, all of these games you've pretty much been to. You're going to be there again. I wish I had a cash register sound effect right now, but I do not. Talk to him, because this team goes over there full of confidence, which we've seen a couple of times before. Yeah,
and off the back of the Blitz, where they're feeling good and in some fitness and some form. So I give them a chance to represent really well. Now, it's always interesting at these games because there's a chance you get blown out and it gets ugly because these NBA teams, their length and athleticism, we know what they can do. But there's also a chance you can hang tough. And we've seen teams do that over the journey. Let's have a look at a couple of examples. Remember, Pete, of course, you're on the sideline here, watching 1 point game. Melbourne United, a couple of defensive stops down the stretch. So that was a 1 point game in 2017. The next year, in the Valley of the Sun, the Corey Webster and the New Zealand Breakers, this was a 5 point loss. Bang, 5 point game, 90 seconds to play. They were right there. Cotton 33. Look at the score. This is the third quarter. These two were single-digit games in the fourth quarter, Sydney against the Clippers. So these are the matchups coming up over the next week or so. Hopefully they can represent and come close.
Yeah, I think a Monday afternoon, can't wait for that. And then the Friday following, we will see Josh Giddey take on his former team. We'll get to that a little bit later on the show as well, because, well, yes or no is kind of alluding to that. I've said this, I think, privately a lot, traditionally over a beer or two, but I'll say it again. Had Pete Hawley have played in that game against OKC, I reckon they would have got the job done.
People forget, so CG had appendicitis. He didn't come on that trip.
Yeah.
So I did my ankle the morning or the day before of the training, which was tough. But the funny part about that OKC game, we got told Westbrook, Melo, and Paul George were going to play 20 minutes. They all played 30 plus. Paul George, Steven Adams on the floor at the end there. But every one of those games, you looked at the last minute or so on the highlights, all the big names are still on the floor. Those games, they get a little scared of, okay, this could be tough. If you've got potent offensive talent, which the Sixers have, and it's one of those nights, anything can happen.
You need someone to catch fire. Cotton 33, Webster in Phoenix, Casper that night, and Ty Wesley was also really good. Craig Randall, Robert one of those two guys who can put points on the board, and both potentially needs to fire up.
Hashtag NBL Overtime. From the NBA to prediction time, you can hit us up at NBL, not only with your predictions, but, well, the abuse towards what's about to happen. Let's start with the NBL Final Four. Not the six, this is the Final Four. I'm going to start with you, Homicide. No Melbourne team involved in the last four for you.
No, unfortunately, I don't have them in it. I just feel that Southeast Melbourne Phoenix have to show and prove that mentally they can win close, tight games. Obviously, last season is last season, but we got to touch on the fact that they weren't able to close out tight games. So they're not in my top four. Neither is Melbourne United. Here's why.
Hit me.
Outside of Chris Goulden, we know he's the superstar. He's a stud. We know this. He's their reliable shooter. You take him out of the picture, who else consistently can shoot from the land of plenty? They have scorers. Rajon Tucker is an exceptional scorer, super explosive, but I haven't seen enough of him to see him being their consistent 3-ball shooter. He's going to get his, but if I'm playing against them, I'm zoning and they have to beat me from the perimeter. And I'm going off of the end of last season. Obviously, Jack Jumpers did exactly that. And I never forget that last game they played. It was 6 of 28 from the 3. So I'm going into the season playing the same type of defense that Jack Jumpers played on them.
Look, I'm not as stunned because you've spoken about this. You famously did a video on social media, not sure about their off-season. I am stunned about my man Liam Santamaria, though, because literally 2 weeks ago we sat in his very studio and you said Melbourne United will win the championship. Now you got him out. Now you got him out. I'm assuming the big fella, right?
Well, they've just lost their starting centre.
Yeah.
You know, he was going to play a massive role on that team. So for me, this is how I view things right now with that team as currently constructed. But look, this is an organisation that's not going to sit on their hands. They're going to make a move. They tried to get in the game with Chea at the 11th hour and tried to make that happen. Couldn't get it over the line. He's going to the Phoenix. They will make a move, and when they do, we'll reassess. But as currently constructed, I think they're on the outside looking in. 2
weeks ago, you said, I have all my faith in Dean Vickerman to get this done. Why have you, I know you're prefacing it right now, but you should have stuck with it, as I did. Mate, you haven't got Perth?
Firstly, let me go. Corey's right in terms of the concerns of the outside shooting, because that was their downfall. You know Chris Golding was injured. That was the big thing. It's still a concern, but as we've seen from Melbourne United and when Dean Vickerman, firstly, a defensive identity, it's not if they become a good defensive unit, it's when. And if a move needs to be made, it gets made as quickly as possible. They're not holding it. They're not patient. They'll do anything they need to do. I'm expecting there'll be a move at some point.
No Wildcats for you people.
No Wildcats. You don't deflect, mate. You got the Wildcats
And here's my thing. Well, Bryce Cotton's citizenship is a big question mark. We'll be following that one closely as we have been since like 1994.
You've got him out.
I've got him out right now because I'm still a little concerned about their big men department. They needed that in big games last year where the rebounding, some key moments got out-rebounded. Thomas and Manick played one game in the Blitz together, had 2 rebounds combined. Now, I haven't seen enough. I'm sure they'll grow into it. And again, I love Brady Manick. I'm super high on what he's going to bring on the offensive end. I think he's going to love playing in Perth. He's going to flourish. Mate, he's got to guard Xavier Cooks, Mitch Creek, Robert Franks, but Aaron Baines when he plays the 4. How do they kind of protect him in that area? That's some tough assignments.
Corey, our man's got no Perth Wildcats in the top 4.
Come on, man.
Yo, you know what's so cool about this conversation? We would never think we would have a top 4 without Melbourne United in it, right?
I don't.
And 4 Perth Wildcats. Like that's the growth of
for
this
sure.
league. There's other teams stepping up, fully loaded that we believe in.
He's right, and spot on with everyone's writing Tasmania off again. How good they look like they haven't skipped a beat in the Blitz. Like it's going to be one of the most competitive seasons we've ever seen.
And so well it should be. Liam's spoken to this, and we've had this discussion. Like every team in the off season should legitimately go, okay, how do we win the championship? Because that's how the league is set up. I think it's the best way to go about it. This is kind of awkward, right? Because you obviously hate Perth Wildcats and don't rate them at all. I've got them winning the championship as we have a look at this. I think, look, you're right. They're still going to work their way through as a defensive unit and their identity, but I think the other end, they're going to be so hard to stop. I've got them winning it. Homicide, you're with me, buddy.
I am. Let me tell you a little secret most people don't know. In a couple of months, Bryce Cotton is going to get citizenship. That is.
Sorry, mate. Congratulations. Hey, I speak from everyone here at NBL Overtime and the entire NBL community on your part-time role at the immigration department. It must have taken a fair bit to get that gig. So congratulations, mate. What date is it getting stamped?
TBD at the moment, but I'm telling you right now, Luke Travers, Mitch Norton. Obviously, he'll be healthy. You know, he leads from the front. You know, he's a hard-nosed player. Takes a page right out of Damian Martin's book, and he's their leader. Now you got Brady Manick, right? Pete Hooley tapped on him earlier, and we know what this young man is going to be in this league. It's going to take a while for him to get his legs under him, and just new environment. New situation. This is first time out of the country. I can't even remember the first time I played basketball out of the country. It took a while get adjusted. But once he becomes adjusted, he is going to be a serious problem. And he's gonna love playing with Bryce Cotton because he's gonna get a whole lot of wide open looks, as a lot of the stretch fours do when they play with Bryce. Corey Webster, let's not forget about him. A reliable perimeter shooter. He's going to take a lot of pressure off of Bryce. And, you know, when teams want to trap and blitz and box and one, and Corey Webster's a reliable shooter and scorer on the opposite wing. So it's going to keep a lot of teams balanced, and don't cheat. Don't cheat on defense because they're going to make you pay. Yeah. But I believe in Perth Wildcats.
Yeah, they get that combination, especially late in games. Bryce and Corey Webster, that's going to be huge for him. Mitch Norton, big question mark for me. When is he ever healthy for a long stretch of time? And they really need him to be, because I think the depth at the point guard position maybe is a bit of a question mark. But they're going to be right there in the mix.
Let's roll through the All-NBL first team, because this is interesting. You talk about the depth of the teams, Homicide, the depth of the players. Liam, you and Corey got the identical 5 feet.
Hey.
Gee, what first time in 5 years you've ever agreed?
Look at that.
There you go. Hey, just quickly, Tyler Johnson for you, Hulls.
Yep. Well, firstly, we didn't even get to talk about you not having the Bullets in the Final Four. Tyler Johnson, Nathan Sobey's health. You know, he's going to be nursed through a little bit at times. It's not something that you just sit out. He hadn't played a proper game since January, I believe, before the Blitz. Played 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 14 minutes. So if he gets nursed a bit, he's going to have to carry a massive load. He looks super tough when he's getting downhill. He seems to be able to finish through a lot of contact. He's really crafty. I'm expecting a really big year because of when Nathan Sobey, say he only gives 15, 20 minutes for the start of the season, they're playing beautiful basketball from what we've seen early. If they continue that, he's going to have to be one of their main pieces.
So, and that is, just quickly, that's the exact same reason that Nathan Sobey in his health, and I touch wood because I love him and I want him back out there. Yeah. That's the reason I haven't got Aaron Baines making the All-NBL first team or my MVP, because I think they might be on the outside looking in. If Sobey gets back to what we know he can do, it's a bit of a different idea, but I just need it to be seen to be believed.
No, it makes sense. Health's going to be massive for that team, and they have some guys that there's some question marks about in that regard. You have no Adelaide 36er in your...
No, because I think for Adelaide to win the championship, they just have to be so equal opportunity, level-headed. Anyone scores more than 18, as I mentioned, they're not going to get there. So I think they don't need it.
MVP for you?
Bryce Cotton. He looks so good right now.
Xavier Cooks.
Homicide, Cooks for you as well, MVP, yes or no?
Yes.
There you
Xavier
go.
Cooks for MVP.
Robert Franks for me. I think Adelaide are going to have a huge year. On that note, Homicide, enjoy Sydney, enjoy the yacht. We're going to get to a break. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved.
Melbourne happy to go single coverage with Joe Luala-Chua, but I tell you, he's going to work in that situation tonight. Joe Chea.
What happens a lot of the time. They've been switching a lot. This time they're in a drops, and Wetzel just a little high up. As soon as they got
the big man is back. Joe Chea is back in Southeast Melbourne, Phoenix. And missed the first 4 games. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. You can hit us up via all our socials. There's been umming and ahhing. It looked like he was going to be back, and then it looked like he wasn't going to be back, and he wasn't back, and now he is back. But there was a slight complication because I think Melbourne United tried to try and maybe at the last second, as you alluded to earlier in the show. Talk to me, Liam, about how this played out.
Yeah, well, they've just maintained the conversation, the Phoenix, over the course of the off-season. And they had basically a handshake deal, essentially, or an in principle deal for the last couple of weeks. They wanted to wait until the NBA deadline passed, the Joe Chea camp, before they actually put pen to paper. And then, at the 11th hour, Melbourne United got involved. I think my understanding is drove the price up in the end, which is what you want to do as an opponent. But Joe Chea is back with the Phoenix. Now, when he came to Australia and played for China over the off-season, how dominant he was, man. If you were the Phoenix, Tommy Greer, Simon Mitchell, you're thinking, oh my God, it's such a shame we're not going to have him back. Now they do. They kept that 11th spot open. What a way to use it in the end. Their patience paid off. And that's a huge piece joining that team.
Well, it is because he's already had a year in the league. He understands the NBL now. He knows where he can be at his best and what to improve on. Like, people forget how big that is for imports, for anyone coming in. If you already had an established year, played very well. He was good when he came in last year. You understand that. You come in with a different mindset in year 2. I think it's huge for them. Alan Williams, the other centre for the Phoenix we saw in the Blitz, he's still getting adjusted to the referees, still getting fouls. He's been fouled off a couple of times in the preseason. It just gives them a nice little bonus and, to be honest, something to smile about because it's been such a rough few weeks for the Phoenix. 4 of their 5 main guys, not including Chea before he signed, unavailable at the current time with injuries or just coming back from injuries. One of the most unlucky stories continuously happening. You feel bad for him.
All right, let's get to Melbourne United because Oriel Hookporty, let's have a look at this last week because it's not something you want to see from anyone in particular. A young man as talented as he is, we're all excited, looks around, no one there. And as soon as the snap around Liam Santamaria, you unfortunately know it better than most.
Yeah.
It normally means bad news, and it was confirmed less than 12 hours later.
Yeah.
And they need a guy. They need a guy to replace. That's why they made the 11th hour bid for Chea. What are they going to do? You have any idea?
Oh, they're going to need to do something. Yeah, they're looking at how to make that work. I mean, he's a next star. I mean, if it was an import, it'd be a pretty straightforward situation. Let's just get back out on the market and find someone in that spot. But it changes things. They brought Isaac Humphries in to be the backup initially and to ramp him up slowly because he's been out for so long. He's going to need to step up.
He looked good.
Play big minutes.
He did.
He does look good, but does it hold up?
Yeah.
Does the knee swell? It's going to be fascinating to see.
Now, you are the GM of Next Stars Recruitment, so I am throwing you under a bus right here, which I particularly, well, that's my role on this show. Can he redshirt the next, we haven't seen this ever before, but a major injury, can he redshirt and come back if he wants and it plays out to be a next star in 12 months' time?
I think there's potential for that to happen. Yeah, I mean, as you say, these are uncharted waters for everybody as far as the next stars are concerned. But I think that there is a conversation to be had in that regard. What will that look like if that happens? Would that be at Melbourne United or at another club? Who knows? Would they want to be in the next stars game with someone else? Sign Oriel Hookporty to a roster spot as an import and get a different next star? I think a lot of water to go under that bridge.
Give me a quick name.
Of who they're going to get?
Possible.
Oh, I'm not sure, but I think they might wait a little bit because of the sake of besides Bainesy, a lot of teams are going to play small ball. So maybe they can get away with it. Mason Peeling to come back, Dave Barlow was that last signing, Isaac Humphries. So maybe they can get away with it. The Bullets game is interesting, but like Robert Franks will slide to the 5, Brady Manick a little bit. So maybe they try and see what happens, but no Melbourne United, they'll be ready to go. They'll grab someone.
Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. A very quick break, yes or no, and a look towards week 1 on the other side of this. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved wherever you might be. Hashtag NBL23 because week 1 is on the doorstep. We can't wait. Saturday night, and of course, it all starts in Melbourne. John Cain Arena, the Phoenix hosting the Jack Jumpers after that wonderful year, and the Hawks and the Kings to renew their rivalry that really, well, culminated in that semi-final last year. There you go. Sunday, back to Melbourne United and the Breakers, and the Wildcats and the Bullets. That's going to be fun as Baines takes his Brisbane crew over to the west, and the Jack Jumpers and the Taipans back in Tasmania Monday night. Liam Santamaria, what are you most looking forward to? You've got one thing that sticks out for you.
That's a blockbuster in the jungle. Aaron Baines making his NBL debut against the Perth Wildcats. John Riley patrolling the sidelines in front of the Red Army. Can't wait.
I'm the same. A quick shout out to Tom Abercrombie. We talked about Hookporty, Torn Retton. I hope he's doing well. He'll be severely missed for the Breakers.
You know what I'm looking forward to, right? Will McDowell-White, who told you on the huddle, 18, 8 and 8?
16.
16, 8 and 8. And I said, if he gives us 16, 8 and 8, he's got the talent to do it, he'll be the MVP.
Right.
I'm looking forward to him Sunday afternoon in Melbourne, rolling into town. Was it the first game of the year last year against Phoenix, but in the same...
Oh, we put it on
His second one.
Second game, was it? There you go. I'm looking forward to that. All right, here we go. You ready? Yes or no style?
I'm ready.
All right. Should Larry Kesselman buy the WNBL?
Yes.
Hey, in Spain, have you seen when the ball goes out of floor, they're just picking it up, they're trialling it? Should we see that in the NBL?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Hey, I've been told from a very reliable source that you are in fact meeting with Bronny James in LA.
Hello.
Is it true? Yes or no?
Maybe.
No, yes or no?
Is there a maybe?
Yes or
Wow.
no?
We'll see.
No.
That's a yes.
That's a big
That's
yes.
a yes.
Hey, will Luke Travers be All NBL second team?
Yes.
Will Jack McVeigh?
No.
Will Josh Giddey have a triple-double against Adelaide?
Yes.
I can't believe you're meeting with Bronny James.
That's unreal.
You're saying going to be there?
Well,
He DM'd him.
Yeah. Well, and for people who may not be aware, he's the GM of Next Stars Recruitment. It makes sense. On that note, we'll see you at a stadium this weekend. It tips off. See ya.